I'm done pinning the other side right now, so you can see I made sure the both aligns it at each other. Okay, so and I've pinned the lining, as you can see. So you can see everything is matching up accordingly. Can you see that? So once you cut accurately and sew accurately, everything matches up for you. So this is it, and I'm going to turn this other way. I'll drop my press foot following the already existing stitches. So I see my stitches which I stitched before, and I'm going to sew on top. So as I'm sewing, I'm making sure lining matches up accordingly, and I will backstitch first at that point, and I'll be lifting to check my tool. Very important, you lift and check your tool so you don't step on top of it. So make sure you follow the stitches accordingly. Can you see that? You follow the stitches, very important, so you don't add or take away from your seam allowance. So I'm releasing the pin because that part looks tensed. So I'll just sew in as I check on my tool. Okay, so I just release the pins. So I keep sewing and matching up. Okay, so you can see how I'm matching up. So you have to be very careful at this point. So I just follow the stitches and I'll back stitch, but I'm not supposed to sew to the beginning, please. Okay, I'm supposed to stop half an inch away, so we'll be able to turn the neckline with it. Okay, all right, so this is how to sew your illusion. So if I turn it this way, you see what I got right here. So I'm going to give it a good press, so you can see the illusion is laying flat and nice, lining and fabric, as you can see. So by the time I iron out this, it relaxes for me. Okay, so I'm going to notch. Okay, so your notching will help to release the tension on the curve. So I'm going to place my notches very, very carefully. This is just like sewing a bustier. Okay, you know, when you sew your bustier, you also place notches. So I've placed my notches right there. I'll also place my notches to ease the tension. Okay, so when placing your notches, be careful you don't cut off your seam allowances. Can you see that? So I'm done placing my notches. So another thing I love to do is to top stitch. So top stitching will help it lay flat. So this is the lining and this is the seam. When top stitching, I lay all my seams on the lining this way. You can see that. So I'm going to lay on the lining this way and spread out and sew very closely. So I also check what I have to be sure I'm not stepping on anything. Okay, so I'll start from 0.5. Remember, we left 0.5 to turn around the other part of the neckline. So I'll just top stitch after 0.5 because I'm losing up the 0.5 I stitched. So now, so I just sew very neatly, very closely. So I back stitch. So all my seams, I'm checking them to be sure I have them on the part of the lining. So that will help you lay the illusion very appropriately. So I'll keep laying and adjusting. Okay, so once you get to the center front below, I'll lift up my press foot and turn around. Okay, push everything I have right here and spread out my lining to continue my top stitching. So I drop my presser foot again and face in this other direction to top stitch while I still check what I have to be sure I'm not stepping on anything. So I'm top stitching very closely, very closely, as you can see, very closely. So I will stop where I have my 0.5 inch and I'll back stitch at that point. So with the top stitching right now, I have my illusion going to lay flatter and nice. You can see that it's actually laying flatter and nice, and the front also is laying flat and nice. So I'm going to give it a good press right now and we'll proceed to the sewing of the neckline. Now we want to sew what we have on the strap. So the strap, you need to mark the part that is curving, which is the neckline, and the part that is the armhole. So I decided to write on the part, the curvy part, as the neckline. Okay, so I'll just take off my pin. Like I said, I have the strap 4 pieces, one for lining and for left and right fabric. So I'll keep this for my lining and then I'll sew in my strap. Okay, so this is my strap. I'll just start from the beginning to sew or to match up. So I'm going to pick up one single piece of fabric and I'll go to my machine. I'm going to sew at 0.5. This is the armhole, so I'm trying to match up the armhole. So I'll keep matching up. I'll keep matching up like that. So I'm going to sew now and sew off at 0.5. I'll also pick up this and repeat the same process. In fact, I'm going to do this for all of them, both lining and fabric. So I'm matching up. Alright, so I'm going to sew down at 0.5 now. Okay, so at the end of the day I have the neckline. So the same process I'll repeat for this. So I'm going to sew everything, give it a good press, then we'll be back for the next step. Alright, so I'm done sewing my strap and you can see I've given them a good press. So the next thing we want to do now is to sew the neckline. So for the neckline, you can see because of the illusion, I have to go this way, turn this way, matching up center front together. Okay, so as I'm sewing, I'm going to push down this to give way for this. So I'll just match it up. Okay, so first of all, match the straps. Okay, make sure you match the straps together first. So I'm pinning in a way I can sew on top of my pins. Okay, so I'm going to sew right now at 0.5. I'll sew at 0.5 this way. Alright, so I'm going to sew right now. Okay, I'm sewing right away, pushing what I have on the center front line. Okay, so I don't step on it. So this is it. So I'm going to sew now at 0.5. Okay, so as I'm sewing, I'm very careful. You know, we have a neckline which we drafted, so you have to follow the neckline. So I keep sewing now at 0.5 right on top of my pins. Okay, so I'm following 0.5 exactly. So I keep sewing, making sure I follow 0.5. Remember, our strap is at 1.5. So everything here I have, I'll be taking half an inch this way. So I'll ensure I sew off at 0.5, and then I'll back stitch. Once I'm done, I'm going to place my notches and top stitch. Okay, so I'm placing my notches all around, so I'll be able to turn around the neckline. Alright, so this is what I got for the front neckline. Okay, so I will want to sew the other part before I top stitch. Okay, so I can top stitch all together. So this is it. So I will first of all sew the other part, then top stitch. So in sewing the other part, I'll also flip it this other way, pushing away what I have right here. I'm going to push it in and repeat the same process. So I'll do it now and then we'll top stitch. So I've already started sewing the other part up until the point of my center front. So I'll push in what I have in as well, and I'll sew off at 0.5 and I'll back stitch. So once that is done, I'm going to place my notches where necessary and then top stitch. So I'm placing my notches on the curve, so I'll be able to top stitch. Alright, so now I'm done sewing the both neckline. So I'm going to top stitch now, flipping all my seams to the part of the lining. Okay, so I want to check whether I still have 2 inches. Okay, so I have about 2 inches. So I'll drop my pressed foot now, and I'm going to top stitch to help my neckline lay nice and flat. Can you see? So I keep spreading as I'm top stitching. So I'll top stitch on one part and then turn the other way and top stitch. Okay, so you can see this, the center front area is somehow confined because of the illusion. So I'll just stop as I can. Okay, so I'll top stitch the other part, give it a good press and bring it back for our fitting issues.